Hey everybody, my name is Megan. If you are new to my channel, this is going to be a very different kind of video. Sorry about that. Today I'm going to be talking about my pregnancy story. I was inspired by another creator here to talk about this. I have put this off for a long time and I've kind of gone back and forth on whether or not I wanted to put this out on the internet for anyone and everyone to see. So I might get sidetracked, I might get emotional, but I have found a community of women who have gone through this experience, and it's more than you would think, and it's just heartbreaking that any woman would have to go through this, but this is going to be my story. So I got married to my husband on May 24th, 2019, and I was on the pill, and then we'll just fast forward to about this time last year. I think I saw Aspen Ovard maybe talk about those ovulation strips, like ovulation test strips that she had off of Amazon. And so I had those, and then those boxes also come with pregnancy tests. So I would just take them just to take them. I didn't expect it to be positive ever because, like I said, I was on the pill. And then I guess it was either July 9th, July 7th, sometime. It was early in the morning. I took a test. I wasn't having any symptoms. I was just expecting it to be negative, but I saw a line, and I went back to the bedroom and I showed Gabe, but he had just woken up, so he was just kind of out of it. He didn't really think anything of it. Later in the day, we went to another store and got one of the pregnancy tests that were a bit more expensive, like a first response, and that came back positive. And I was just in shock because this was my first pregnancy. Fast forward about 2 weeks, I had my first prenatal appointment, and all you really do at that appointment is kind of go over paperwork. There wasn't really anything done, and I didn't know how far along I was, and the people at the clinic kind of had a guess. After I had that appointment, I started experiencing my first symptoms, and I was just really nauseous all the time. And honestly, the nausea lasted the entire time I was pregnant. I just was sick in the morning, and then towards the end of the pregnancy, I would try to cook things, and I would have to sit down because I just didn't feel good. I felt like I couldn't keep anything down. I ended up going to a nutritionist to make sure that I was getting all the nutrients that I needed, and everything seemed fine. And then I go to my appointments, everything seems fine. We find out that it's going to be a baby girl, which was really exciting. And then I go to another appointment, and they tell me that baby girl is not growing or not getting the nutrients that she is supposed to be getting, and I was concerned, and my parents knew, and Gabe's family knew. I didn't really say how I told everybody, but I told my mom over the phone. I didn't want to tell her over the phone, but it just came out. My dad found out through my mom. I didn't get a chance to tell him in person, but I wanted to. I told my sister over FaceTime. I told my two brothers over the phone. I told my best friend through Facebook Messenger. So we never had any pregnancy announcements because I was scared something was going to go wrong, and then something went wrong. I know if I do get a chance to be pregnant again, I'm going to do the exact same thing. This time, I really don't want to tell anybody because this was the most traumatic experience and I haven't even gone into it yet. I had I might butcher this name, an amniocentesis done. And that is when you go to the clinic and they stick a needle to get amniotic fluid, and then they test it. It was one of the worst days of my life because it was excruciating pain. And those results came back and everything seemed normal. Well, I go in for another appointment, and at this point I had switched to an outpatient clinic instead of the women's clinic that I was going to. I remember let me backtrack a bit. I had the worst back pain I have ever felt in my entire life. I thought it was because I sat on a bed and that's not good for your posture, but of course I'm sitting on the floor now. It just shows I don't have good posture. But this back pain was so bad, I couldn't sleep at night. There was nothing that could help me. I even considered going to a chiropractor, but I never did. Weeks went by, and like I said, I'm at this appointment, and I was at work before, and they knew that I had to go to work, and people at my job found out that I was pregnant because I told people that I shouldn't have, and they kind of told other people, so people at work knew, and it was kind of good because I didn't have to do like heavy lifting or anything like that, but I was working at a restaurant, so there's not a lot of heavy lifting in the first place. Anyway, I don't know what she is. This woman tells me that they can squeeze me in for an ultrasound, and I'm like, oh, that's great. And I go back, I'm laying down, I don't think anything of it, and then this girl is using the device to find the heartbeat. And then the doctor that did my amnio is also there. And he sits me up. And he says, I'm so sorry, but there's no heartbeat. And I just couldn't believe that just came out of his mouth. I had never heard anything about baby's heartbeats just stopping. I know nobody in my life that has gone through this, and I've seen people that I went to school with and people I know have perfectly fine pregnancies, and I was so excited to be a mom for the first time. Then I hear this news that her heartbeat stopped, and I just say, what do I do now? Because nobody prepares you to have to go through that. The clinic that I went to was really close to the hospital, and the hospital where I am is a very well-known, recognized hospital. Like, the people there are really great. I get my belongings and I go straight to the hospital, and before we drive there I call my mom to let her know, and I ask her to tell my dad because I didn't want to have to keep on telling people. I go to the hospital and I do the check-in, and then I wait, and they take me to labor and delivery, and the room was very dark. There were no windows or anything. Gabe was with me the entire time. They hooked me up to all the machines that they need to hook me up to, and we just sat in that room. And the first night I wasn't able to eat anything. I don't know if it was that night or in the morning, they had to give me a pill to induce labor. And it didn't work the first time, so they had to do it another way the second time. And I was just having the worst pain. I guess they were contractions, and they hurt so bad, and I just wanted it to be over. I ended up pushing. It was 7-something in the morning, and then I had to stay the rest of that day. And mind you, this was November 6th, 2019, and my birthday is November 7th, so it was a really horrible way to have to end being 22 and enter being 23. And then they were concerned because I had high blood pressure. So they wanted me to stay overnight again. And then the morning came, November 7th, and they check up on me, and then they're able to take some of the stuff off of me, which was a great thing to know. And then they just left me and Gabe there. And then I ended up calling the nurse, and I was asking, can we go? I mean, they weren't monitoring anything, so I didn't really understand the purpose. So we were able to leave. Before we were able to leave, we had to make arrangements for her. We had to decide whether or not she was going to be cremated. We ended up deciding to have her cremated, and we had to go to the funeral home and pick an urn, and it's purple, and we had to sign different paperwork. And after I delivered, they took her away and they cleaned her up and they brought her back. Nobody prepares you for what it's like to hold your child and know that they are no longer with you. And she was beautiful. Gabe held her. She was in this little pink yarn. I don't know what it was, but she was very small. And then they did her handprints. And they did her footprints. And they took photos for us to have. And they gave us different resources that we could read over to try and comfort us. And then I was able to shower before we were able to go and get all my things, and then we went to my parents' house for the night. And now it's Saturday, June 27th, 2020, and there's not a single day that I don't think about her. She would have been almost 4 months. The other thing I was going to say is, before it got to the point that it did, the doctor told me that if they could have her living until a certain week point, they may do early delivery, but that never happened. And I would have had to go to the hospital every week, which I didn't. Like I said, it's June 27th, 2020. Every day I think about what she would have looked like, what she would have been like, how I would have been as a mother, and there is nothing in the world that I want more at this time than to be a mom. I really want it, and it's really hard because my sister had a baby boy last fall, and I was able to see him earlier this year for the first time, and he's the cutest little kid, but it hurts knowing that my baby girl is not here. And I don't think I did. No mom did anything to deserve that. But every day, I just take it day by day. There are other stories of women who are able to have their rainbow babies. I've been following Natalie Kennedy and Megan Morrison. And Natalie Kennedy also had a miscarriage, and now she's pregnant. And then Megan Morrison, you might know her as Megan Crow. She has a YouTube channel. She had a chemical pregnancy, and now she has a baby boy. So seeing other women that are able to have their rainbow baby really gives me hope. I hope this helps somebody. If you made it through this entire video, thank you. And if you have gone through this situation, I'm so sorry. It is the most devastating thing to go through. I hope to be a mom one day and be able to share that with you. And again, thank you for watching. Bye.